Hello everybody, welcome to the sixth tutorial in the series, the basics of programming in Python. So today we're going to be talking about conditional statements. As you can see, I've named my file. We're going to be talking about the if, else, and Elif conditional statements. Whenever we want to take decisions as human, we check for possible conditions. That's where conditional statements come in Python. So we want to make decisions in Python using the if, elif, and else statements, which are based on conditions, which is some kind of control structure. Okay, so basically, conditions refer to Boolean expressions, and Boolean expressions always return a Boolean type, which is either true or false. So if you haven't watched my video on data types and you need a clear understanding of what the Boolean type is, I'll put a card up here, or you see some kind of suggestion stuff, which will link you to a video. You can just check the series, this playlist, to find the video on data types. Okay, so when writing a conditional statement, or when writing conditional statements, if the conditions evaluate to true, we need a way to run specific lines of code. In this situation, we make use of blocks of code. We group lines of code in Python by using blocks, which is the block of code I'm talking about. And how do you recognize these blocks? You can tell when a block begins and ends with indentation, which is 4 lines. So I have something here I prepared earlier. So I'm just going to open the upper. So it should always look like this. The if statements, you have your if keyword, then an expression which I refer to as the condition, the Boolean expression, which must either return true or false. All Python needs is to check if this is true. So if true, after evaluating the expression, yes, it's gonna do something. Else, if it's not true, it's just gonna break out without doing anything. So this is the block of code I'm talking about. It usually starts with 4 spaces. So this is the 4 spaces. So let me give you 3 rules for writing blocks. 1, blocks begin with when the indentation increases, as I've said earlier. 2, blocks can also contain other blocks. So you can have something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. If expression again, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. This is another block of code, and then you do something else. Okay, so don't be afraid. This now I'm going to be writing it in Python. This is just to explain this to you, but this is out of the context of this particular tutorial, but just to make you understand what I meant by that. So blocks end when indentation decrease to 0 or to a containing block indentation. So for example, this block ends when this indentation comes back to this point, right here, where my cursor is to 0. So that is it's 0 for this block of code. So that's basically the rules you need to know about writing blocks of code. So I'm gonna close this. Okay, now so let's get into the cool stuff. So how do you write if statements? First, let's create variables. Let's create the variable and store the word tech in it. We're gonna be using this. So now let's write the first thing you're gonna have is your if keyword. Your if keyword, always know that. Then your expression. So one of my videos I also talked about Boolean expressions. If you haven't watched that, you can also check in the playlist to help you to understand what Boolean expressions are. Okay, so I'm gonna type var if var1 equals tech Emmy. I'm gonna print var1 is tech Emmy. Okay, so you can change this to whatever you want. The variable var1 doesn't have to be tech Emmy. You can change it to whatever you want. So now let me explain this. First, your if keyword and then a Boolean expression. Python evaluates this first. So when it returns true, Python will do this. But if it doesn't return true, Python is just not going to do anything after this, because we don't have anything after this. Okay, so let's save the code and then we're gonna run it. Okay, so we have an error. Whenever it starts with a single quote, it should end with a single quote, or if it's double quote, it should end with double quotes. So I didn't notice that actually, so I'm gonna run it. Wow, I'm using a lot of so I don't know why. So again, okay, so as you can see, var1 printed the code, the if condition printed var1 is tekemi. Now let's continue to the else. For in a situation whereby this doesn't pass, so what do we want to do? We want to have an alternative to that, which is going to be the else keyword. Else, I'm sure you must have noticed that the else doesn't take any condition. So the else is just like saying if every other thing fails, it assumes every other thing fails, and then it does the last thing you want to do. So we're going to print var1 is not tech Emmy. I'm going to save that and I'm going to run that. var1 is tech Emmy, of course. Now let's change this, remove the h so it's going to return a true. Then we're going to run it. var1 is not tech Emmy. See how cool that is. That's how cool Python can be. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the if and the elif conditions. So again, we're going to use the elif here. Elif var1 equals my name. Okay, actually, so start with big E. Anyways, print var1 is Emmanuel. Okay, so what we are doing here is if var1 equals if this returns true, we're gonna print this. And if this fails, it's gonna go to the next one. That is elif var1 equals Emma. Then it's gonna print this one. And then if this fails, it's gonna finally print this one. As of now, this is gonna print this because our variable is not equal to this. This doesn't have an h, is not equal to this, and this is just like an alternative to if everything fails. It's gonna print this. I'm gonna save that and run that. var1 is not the chemi. Now let's put the h back. We're gonna save that and run it. var1 is the chemi, and then we're gonna change var1 to Emma. I'm gonna save that and we're gonna run it. So var1 is Emma. The best way to understand how these conditional statements work is by working with it, trying things out to check if, for example, what if I remove this elif and then put it down here, what's gonna happen? Is it gonna work? So let's try running that. Of course it's not gonna work because it's gonna give us a syntax error. Whenever you're writing a conditional statement in Python, elif must always come after the if. You can write the if without using elif or else, but the elif or else must always come after the if in this case of conditional statements. The best way to get to know more is by trying things out, and by trying things out, so we become very good at what we do. Okay, so if you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I'll be releasing the next video probably next week, and have a good day.